Bradley Cooper is back in the director's chair and the actor's chair for Maestro. Is it any good? Let's find out right now. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. I hope you're all doing well. I was lucky enough to see Maestro a little bit early in a movie theater, and this is releasing on Netflix next week. I'm very happy I got to see this in the movie theater because Netflix movies really don't hit the theaters too often. But before we get started, make sure to leave a like on this video, subscribe to the channel. We're almost to 500 subscribers. It's free to do so. I'm gonna read you guys a quick plot synopsis just so you know what the movie is about. American conductor Leonard Bernstein falls in love with Costa Rican actress Felicia. Before I get too much more into the film as a whole, I do want to kind of say before we start, I didn't really know anything about Leonard Bernstein before watching this movie. I mean, I know he composed West Side Story. That's, the big thing that he did. There's a lot of other big stuff that he did now that I've seen this movie, now that I know what he's done now. But that's basically the only thing I knew before going into this, before watching the trailers and all that. And I was actually very excited to watch this because Bradley Cooper is directing it. As I said, he directed A Star is Born. That was very great, very emotional. And, this one was also pretty emotional. I will say, it's emotional at times, happy at times, but I feel like it's also pretty depressing at times, which is kind of the same as A Star is Born. So I feel like Bradley Cooper does great at making those kinds of movies, but I kind of worry for him with directing kind of depressing movies because it could really, damage his mental health doing that. So I think that his next film should be a happier film than these. But this is another biopic. This year we've had so many biopics. I don't even know how many we've had. I've watched so many nowadays. It's just too many to count. I think we've had at least 10 biopics this year. We've had a Cheetos one. We've had a NASA one, Blackberry, Oppenheimer, this, even so many more. But I'm happy to say that this fits on the good side of the biopics. It's nothing like an Oppenheimer. That's just in its own league. But this, I think, is very good. I like this a lot. I thought it was going to be a little bit better. Maybe it will take me a couple watches to really feel how great this movie is, because I've seen a lot of other people say, it gets better on rewatch and all that. Some people I've seen don't like it as much as others. I do think if I were to compare this to A Star is Born, I think A Star is Born is much better than this, because I feel like A Star is Born is much tighter than this runtime wise, because I do feel like the pace of this is struggling just a little bit. I feel like the opening 30 minutes and, I think the middle 30 minutes are great. I feel like it's when you get into the third act, it could have been a little shorter there. You could have cut at least 15 minutes out somewhere. It does feel a little bit long since you're dealing with such a heavy topic about the Bernstein family, and a lot of drama happens there, a lot of sad stuff happens there, especially with his wife Felicia. So a lot of sad stuff happens. I think the pace could have been a little bit tighter there. The cast here is of course great. You got Bradley Cooper playing our lead Leonard, and he just does a fantastic job. I think Bradley Cooper just nails it in every single role that he does. He's of course trying very hard for an Oscar, and this is probably, I don't know, it's probably the closest that he's going to get. If he does win for this, I don't really have a problem with it. I feel like it's a two-horse race right now between him and Cillian. Both biopics, both amazing performances. Bradley Cooper's really going for a transformative performance here. I think the makeup is great in this movie. I feel like he might win an Oscar for that. But it's really I don't know, it's really personal preference with who you choose after you watch this movie and Oppenheimer, him or Cillian. I'm siding with Cillian just a little bit more because I think Oppenheimer's a better film, but I think Bradley Cooper's performance here is just fantastic, and I feel like if the film was even greater, then I feel like he would easily be winning for that. Carey Mulligan, on the other hand, who plays Felicia, I thought that she's also spectacular. She has a lot of standout scenes here alongside Bradley Cooper. Carey Mulligan, I haven't seen Poor Things. I see that next week. So Carey Mulligan, she's in my second place right now, behind she's behind a couple other people right here, but she's in like second or third place, I'd say, but she gives a great performance. Maya Hawke is also in this. She has a smaller role. Thought that she did a great job, but you have just an all-around great cast here with a legendary performance by Bradley Cooper. I'm just stunned every time Bradley Cooper is in a movie, does a legendary performance, but on top of that, he also gives an amazing direction here. His direction is fantastic in this movie. Like, it's such an upgrade from A Star is Born. If I were to say one better thing in this than A Star is Born, is the direction. He really went for it in this movie, because A Star is Born feels like just plain direction. This direction feels so creative and so out there and so original for him, so I'm very happy for him on that front. And the cinematography and editing are another two strong points in this movie, because if you've seen the trailer, you have some very elegant black and white cinematography. That goes on for, I don't know, I think I'd say an hour into the movie. Then you get into that second act, middle of the second act, then it switches to a very nice transition into the color. And I thought every single color is popping out. I love the look of the black and white cinematography, though. I could have looked at that for the entire movie. Thought it looked great. And the editing was great. I love the seamless editing in here into each other scene. And I love how every single shot seemed to hold for a good amount of time. I think a lot of movies cut way too fast, but this movie held its shot for a long time. I thought that's a great addition to this movie. And we got to talk about the music here, because the score is of course great because it's coming from the Bernstein catalog. His catalog's great, and they used a lot of great music in here. I was just fascinated by what kind of music they used, and they also use a little bit of West Side Story music, so I really liked that when I heard it. That was all great. But I will say, the one big standout scene in this movie, the one big, I'd say, Oscar clip for this movie for Bradley Cooper, is the Eli Cathedral scene, if I'm saying that right. Hopefully. It's one of the best scenes of this year, I gotta say. It's the best scene of the movie too, and I was just blown away. I was enthralled. I was in awe by what I was looking at from Bradley Cooper, because his way of composing here, I think I saw in an interview that he had to practice it for a long time, and it looked crazy. It made me want to be a composer, just how fascinating it was just watch him do that for so long. The scene went on for like 5 minutes. It was just a fantastic, mesmerizing scene. I was just blown away in my seat. That's why I'm so lucky I got to see this in theaters, because I don't get like any Netflix movies in theaters near me except this one. And wow, that scene in theaters was spectacular. I cannot wait to see that scene when it comes to Netflix or it comes to Netflix, I think, this Wednesday. So look for that, but I cannot wait to rewatch that scene. That's going to be Bradley Cooper's Oscar clip if he does win. I won't really have an issue if him or Killian wins, but man, that scene, no one's ever prepared for that scene. I was not prepared for that scene. I was just blown away by what he did in that scene. Simply just a fantastic scene by him. So overall, Maestro is actually a very good biopic. I do recommend this one a lot. It is very slow, very depressing movie at times, very sad, but the musical scenes are great. Bradley Cooper's performance is great. Carey Mulligan's performance is also great. Just stunning performances here with amazing cinematography, some iffy pacing and some story issues there and some writing issues there, but I really had a great time with this one. I think it's very good. So I'm going to give Maestro a 7 out of 10. That's on first watch. I feel like if I see it a couple more times, my rating could increase. I cannot wait to go watch it on Netflix. Let me know down in the comments if you have watched Maestro. What did you guys think of Maestro? I'm interested to hear your thoughts. Make sure you leave a like on this video, subscribe to the channel. We're on the road to 500 subscribers, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.